Hello everyone, it's Daylight Vienna, and today we're going to be analyzing the data and finding out who is most likely to win and who is most likely to be out first in the upcoming season of the Life series. Also, I just got over being sick, so if I sound really odd and less chipper, that's why. Also, I got a new microphone and I'm so excited about it. It's like my dream microphone. I'm in a house right now that has so much like background noise. I've got another noise canceling thing on top of this, so if you get background noise, I'm so sorry. Regardless, the Life series dropped yesterday. Well, it did when I was recording this, but I highly doubt that this is coming out this weekend. So it's gonna be like a week late, probably two. I literally don't know. I'm trying to get out as soon as possible. I'm just so busy. I've not seen a single episode. I do know that it's called Past Life and that Mumbo and Lizzie are both not in it. Other than that, I have remained clear of every spoiler and have thoroughly remained off Twitter and Reddit, and I will remain off the platforms until this video is released, or at least until this is recorded. This video is everything that I think is going to happen. It's going to be a very similar format to my other videos, and just like usual, it will be the data's opinion and my own personal opinion as well. If you enjoy this video, like and subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think that who I think is going to be out first, or do you think someone completely different? All that said, let's get into the video. Just like every single other video that I've made on the Life series, I will be referring to people by their nicknames and not their channel names. So in case you don't know all of them, here's a lovely chart that I've made and has been in several of my other videos. Pause the video if you need to look at it longer because we've got a lot to cover in this video. Prediction number 1. For starters, I just wanted to make clear, I am not counting real life or simple life into the statistics. I don't count real life because it was on another gaming device because it was VR, and I just don't think that it's fair for everyone's stats to suffer dramatically because they were either getting sick, like motion sickness, while using VR, or they were just trying to figure out the controls. Based on that logic, I would totally count Simple Life because it was played regular Minecraft, but I just think it's important to stay as consistent as possible on what I'm counting and what I'm not counting, so I'm not counting April Fool's specials. I do absolutely think that Cleo and Scott are both winners, but those wins won't affect their statistics, if that makes sense. This first prediction is going to be who I think is going to be out first in the series. So just like last time, we're going to be looking at who has consistently been in the bottom 5 of each season, who has the lowest kill counts, and who has the lowest average placement. By compiling these together, we can do the math and see whose name appears the most times. This will also show the data's prediction, and then I'll slap my own opinion on the end, as I've already said. Also, I will be taking Lizzie and Mumbo out of the predictions since they aren't in the series. But, spoiler, if they were in the series, Lizzie is the most likely person to be out first, followed by Mumbo, so for future reference, their likelihood is pretty high. If you have been to the channel before, you'll know that I have already detailed out who was placed in each of the 5 seasons. So let's rewind. In Third Life, Scott came in 10th, Joel came in 11th, Skiz in 12th, Cleo in 13th, and Jimmy in 14th. In Last Life, Lizzie was in 13th, Impulse was in 14th, Skiz was in 15th, Mumbo was in 16th, and Jimmy was in 17th. In Double Life, Grian and technically Scar tie for 10th, followed by Big B in 11th, Ren in 12th, Tango in 13th, and Jimmy in 14th. Limited Life had Tango in 10th, B-Dubs in 11th, Joel in 12th, Skiz in 13th, and Jimmy in 14th. And our bottom 5 in Secret Life were Skiz in 13th, Tango in 14th, Mumbo in 15th, Jimmy in 16th, and Lizzie in 17th. Also, laughing so hard internally because what was that statistic background? So sorry you guys had to suffer through that. But now let's add the stats from Wildlife. Scar came in 14th place, Big B came in 15th place, Martin in 16th place, Skiz in 17th place, and Mumbo in 18th place. Fun fact, this is the lowest every single player has ever placed in a Life series, which obviously because it was the biggest roster, there were more opportunities to end up on the bottom end of the placements, but still, all of their averages dropped. That being said, let's add up who's been in the bottom 5 the most amount of times. Joel and Lizzie both tie with being in the bottom 5 in 2 seasons that they played. Mumbo and Tango appeared 3 times, and Skiz and Jimmy were in the bottom 5 out of the 6 seasons that they played. Yikes. As I've said, Mumbo and Lizzie will get factored out of this for some of the predictions, but since they showed up multiple times in the bottom 5 of a season, they needed to be added to this statistic. Moving on to the next category of least amount of kills, as we did before, here's a rewind of the lowest kill count of seasons 1 through 5. For Third Life, 10th and 11th place were claimed by Etho and Cleo with a grand total of 1 kill. And Big B, Joel, and Jimmy were tied for 12th, 13th, and 14th at 0 kills.
In Last Life, Martin, Jimmy, and Cleo tie at 12th, 13th, and 14th with 1 kill, and Impulse, Skiz, and Tango tie at 15th, 16th, and 17th with 0. Double Life consisted of a 6-way tie between B-Dubs, Bigby, Impulse, Jimmy, Tango, and Cleo with a grand total of 0 kills. Limited Life ended with Pearl in 10th with 5 kills, followed by Skiz and Jimmy with 4, Bigby with 3, and Tango with 2. Lastly, for Secret Life, we have a 5-way tie between Impulse, Lizzie, Mumbo, Cleo, and Tango.
Again, I apologize immensely for the statistic background and what they look like. Oh my gosh. Now adding Wildlife. For preference, I did not include zombie kills in this. Lizzie was the only player that ended the season on 1 kill, and then B-Dubs, Cleo, Impulse, and Gem all tie with 0 kills. By adding up all the kills and excluding Lizzie and Mumbo, which both hilariously would have been on the list, we have B-Dubs and Jimmy tied with 12 kills, Tango with 10 kills, Cleo with 9, Gem with 8, and Bigby with 7. This stat is kind of unfair to Gem because she only ever played 2 seasons, but she didn't get a single kill last season, so ta-da, here's our list. I always like to include this because it gives a little perspective into the actual kill counts of the players. So we have the average number of kills. We have Jimmy and B-Dubs tied with the average of 2 kills per season, Tango with an average of 1.6, but I always just round up to the closest person, Cleo with 1.5, and B-Dubs with 1.2. Having a statistic like this really helps put into perspective who is actually doing the killings, because despite Gem only having 8 kills, her average is 4 per season, so that would actually put her in 6th place on the highest average kill count. But we'll talk more on the highest average kill count later. Our last category is what everyone's average place is, and for this prediction, as I've done with the other categories, we're going to be looking at the lowest averages. Because I'm excluding Lizzie and Mumbo, we have to include Etho, who has an average of 8th place. There's so many people who have an average of 8th place, but he has the lowest average of those 8th placers. I want to say there's like 4 who are in 8th place. Do I think he's actually going to be dead last? Absolutely not. But I do have to include him. Etho's closest adjacent downward average is Tango and Bigby, tied with a 10th place average, Skiz with a 14th, and Jimmy with a 15th. If we do the math and show who shows up in the bottom most frequently out of all the categories that I've done, and if we exclude Lizzie and Mumbo, the data's prediction is that Tango is the most likely player to end up out first. Jimmy also shows up in the bottom 5 of our categories, the same number of times that Tango does, but let's be honest. I think we all know that Jimmy is probably not going to get out first anymore. I think that kind of era is done. And while I think that Tango is such a likely candidate and would probably be my second choice, I will say that my personal prediction is that Skiz is going to be out first this season. He barely ended up second to last season, and I have no idea how the gimmick is going to work in Past Life, so he could really thrive in it, but until I get this video done, I really have no idea how everyone fares. Now, for the one that we've literally all been waiting for, who is most likely to win? Just like in the last category, we're going to be looking at the inverse of the categories we just looked at. So, who has consistently been in the top 5 of every season, who obtains the most kills in every season, and who has the highest average placement of all the seasons combined. After investigating all the data, we are then going to see who repeatedly is towards the tops of the categories, and that will be our predicted winner. Just like last time, we're going to have an all-player prediction, which means we aren't going to exclude anyone from that prediction. And we are going to get a non-winner prediction, which, as the name suggests, excludes any past winners of a season. Aside from Simple Life, we have never had an official repeat winner, and truthfully, I think we'll get one very soon. But for the sake of the data, I will be including a non-winner prediction. Starting us off, we're going to be looking at who has consistently been in the top 5 of every season. So let's do a rewind of that.
For Third Life, we had Green in first place, Scar in second, B-Dubs in third, Bigby in fourth, and Impulse in fifth. For Last Life, first place was Scott, second place was Ren, third place was Martin, fourth place was Pearl, and fifth place was Joel. For Double Life, obviously because everyone was paired up, we technically have a top 6, but just the same, Pearl came in first, Scott came in second, followed by Martin in third, Cleo in fourth, and Impulse and B-Dubs tying for fifth and I suppose 6th. In Season 4 Limited Life, first place was claimed by Martin, second place by Impulse, third place by Scott, fourth place by Pearl, and fifth place by Etho. For our most recent season, Secret Life, Scar was in first place, Pearl was in second, Gem was in third, Scott was in fourth, and Joel was in fifth.
Now, if we add in Wildlife, our top 5 were Pearl in fifth, Cleo in fourth, Ren in third, Green in second, and Joel in first. Now moving on to who actually appeared in the top 5 most frequently. All tied with 3 times, we have Impulse, Martin, and Joel. Scott comes in second with being in the top 5 4 times, and Pearl with 5. I think I've said this the last time, but literally Pearl has been in the top 5 of every single season she's played in. So she's an absolute force to be reckoned with in this series. If you move on to our next category, we're going to be looking at the most kills of every season. As I've mentioned in the other videos, the winner usually has some of the highest kill counts in their respective seasons. So here's another rewind.
For Third Life, Green came in first, racking up a total of 8 kills. Ren came in second with 6, Scar and Martin tying with 4, and B-Dubs for 3. For Last Life, Joel came out with a whopping 12 kills, followed by 5 other players, Grian, Lizzie, Pearl, Ren, and Scott, tying at 5. Joel led Season 2 with more than double the kills of the second placed people. For Double Life, Etho, Grian, Pearl, and Joel tied with 2 kills, and Scar, Martin, Ren, and Scott achieved 1. For Limited Life, Grian raked in 20 kills, Scott followed with 17, Martin with a steady 16, Joel with 14, and Scar with 13. For Secret Life, Scar comes in first with 10 kills, Gem comes in second with 8, and Pearl, Scott, and Joel tying with 3.
For Wildlife, not including zombie kills, both Skiz and Jimmy tied with 6 kills, Scar and Martin and Joel all tied with 7. I find it so funny that Skiz and Jimmy are on this list when I literally just read their names as 2 of the most probable contestants to be out first. But regardless, the people with the highest number of kills in all the seasons combined are the following. In 5th overall, Scott is ringing in a total of 28 kills. Martin brings in 30, followed by Scar with 36, Joel with 38, and Grian being our most deadly player yet again at 41 kills. Just like last time, I think it's important to talk about the highest number average of kills. Because of all of our top 5 players playing every single season, their order of their averages does not change at all. Scott has an average of 4.6 kills, Martin has an average of 5, Scar has an average of 6, Joel's an average of 6.3, and Grian has an average of 6.8 kills every season. Like I said, the order doesn't change, at least not for this stat, but it does show which of the players are more aggressive in their life series. Not always, but they kind of have to be to some extent if their kill counts are this high. Now, moving on to our average placement. Obviously, averages can be hard to gauge because it doesn't account for the gimmick of each season or how the alliances team up or really anything, but it does give some sort of range of typically how the player does. That being said, Ren, Grian, and Gem tie with a 6th place average, Scott with our second highest average being 5th place, and Pearl having the highest average in the series with a 3rd place average. As I've mentioned before, Pearl has played 5 seasons in the live series, and the lowest she ever got was 5th. So she placed top 5 100% of the seasons that she's played in. And so finally we are here to that point. As I've said, we've got an all-player prediction and a non-winner prediction, and then I'll throw my personal opinion in. For our all-player prediction, the most likely player to win is yet again Scott, which honestly, he won Simple Life, so I mean, that checks out. And I'm not even counting the Simple Life stat, but he is the most likely person to win. He's been in the top 5 75% of the seasons that he's played in, and he's currently in 5th place in his kill count, and he has the 2nd highest average in the entire life series. So, the data's on his side. Other very probable contenders are Pearl and Joel. Both of them appeared in most of the lists. The only reason Pearl isn't the most likely player is simply because her kill count isn't high enough, and Joel isn't the most likely player because his average isn't high enough. I mean, I would love to see another Joel win because honestly, that would be so Joel to win back-to-back. Like, oh my gosh. Probably not, but we'll see. Now for the non-winner predictions. I really feel like it's going to be getting harder and harder for non-winners to win, not just because the amount of non-winners is going down, but because I think that winners are starting to try and win again. In my head, as the more seasons happen, the winners pool is starting to kind of reset. Not officially at all, and I have no way of proving that. I just think that we are enough seasons along that a repeat winner is going to happen either this season or at least soon. But the most likely winner is actually a tie. These two people's averages are the same. These people's average kill counts are the same. They both have been in the top 5 in half of the seasons they played in. And these two people are Ren and Gem. I totally see both of them trying to win this season. Ren probably more than Gem, but I do think that probably Gem would out PvP Ren, if it came down to it. And for the reason of Gem, I believe, being the better PvPer, I am going to say that will be the tiebreaker, but seriously, it can go either way. That my official non-winner prediction in past life is going to be Gemini Tay. Ren has such a great chance, and also Impulse has another great chance. I'm not saying Impulse can't win either. I'm just saying he's played every single season, which Ren and Gem have not, and his kill counts aren't just not where the other players are, and his average isn't where other people's are. So that's why I'm not counting him as in the top 2 of most likely to win. But according to the data, the official non-winner prediction is going to be Gem. As for my own personal prediction, I've said this for months, I've said it on Twitter, I think it's going to be Etho. His actual likelihood? He's not even in the top 5 of most likely. But I think it is going to be Etho. No evidence, no reason, just my own personal opinion. I would just love to see an Etho win. So we'll see what actually ends up being correct. The data could be right with Scott or Jem, or my own personal opinion could be right, or neither. So we'll just see. As always, these predictions are just for fun, and we'll see what happens, and if it does, yay! If not, it's just fun to theorize. So, like, subscribe, and comment what you think is going to happen and who you think is going to win. I will talk to y'all next time. Goodbye, everyone!